Bonjour and good morning to all our viewers in the beautiful continent of Africa and beyond. Welcome to the most colorful show on your television screen. It's all about Breakfast Central on News Central TV. Je m'appelle Oluchi Inobong.
My name is Olisa Chukuma. Good morning, Africa. We are quite delighted to have you here. Africa First, as we always love to say, we've got the news, the top stories, the trends from across the African continent to get your Thursday quite a bright one. But let's start with the headlines that are look at today, August the 12th, 2021. We'll start in Zambia, where it's all about the elections, to take you live with our correspondent in Lusaka.
And we will be moving to Algeria as we'll be giving you the update on the forest fire. At least 5 people have been killed.
Also, all about the crisis in Tigray region in Ethiopia. Is UNHCR talking about refugees taking refuge in Eritrea. And
South Africa, where the president to appear before State Capture Commission today.
Also on the program, a look at the front and back pages of different of Africa's daily papers right here on Breakfast Central.
Right here on Breakfast Central. Now let's bring you the newspaper headlines for today, the 12th day of August 2021. And we are starting the very first paper in Nigeria, West Africa. We're looking at the Punch newspaper this morning, and the Punch seems to have quite a number of stories. All right, looking at the upper right hand, it talks about 4,528 Nigerian doctors moved to UK in 6 years. Wow, all about that on the front page of the Punch. And looking at the major headline here, recalled envoy diplomat arrived today. Indonesia defends assault. Really? Really? Are they defending the video that went viral? Well, you need to go to page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And also you have right there, you can see the helicopter. And you can see a boat in one of the pictures. That must have been a rescue operation that happened.
Rescue. Going down in the Mediterranean Sea.
Right. All that and more you will get from the front pages of the Punch newspaper in West Africa, Nigeria.
All right, we can go straight to the Sowetan. Big story there in South Africa. Well, check that out for a front page, all about Cyril Ramaphosa, the president. He came, he saw, and it says did nothing. So day one of Ramaphosa's testimony leaves much to be desired as he is grilled on what he knew about state capture. Also says an overly confrontational stance would have led to Zuma axing him as second in command. So there'll be lots to follow on that today. Yes, in South Africa, with Ramaphosa again to appear before the State Capture Zondo Commission in the country. All
right, from the Sowetan paper in South Africa, we're going to the Daily Trust. Now, the Daily Trust in Nigeria, we have one major story that talks about death wish. DSS grills ex-governor over the audio on Buhari. You have that in the front page of the Daily Trust. We have another story here. VAT ruling, federal government to lose taxes amidst dwindling revenue. It says here, the writer says, states with low revenue profile will suffer, according to experts. FIRS to appeal as Justice Ministry studies case. Why we only interpreted Constitution. That is what Rivers is saying. Also, you have this picture here, and you can see a lot of women. They're pretty much upset with the different placards that we can see. There's some holding the green leaf. Could that be a sign of peace? Well, you need to go into the papers for more details. Nigeria, 5th highest World Bank debtors, owes 4.8 trillion naira. Is that surprising? Well, you need to go to the front pages and the middle pages of the Daily Trust in Nigeria.
All right, trusting Oluchi's vision as in 2021 is always good. Well, let's go straight to the front page of the front page in Liberia. clearly this one there. So it's quite an interesting story that people have been following, and also part a sad and dramatic one. Talks about new twist to Liberia Revenue Authority staffer mystery. It says missing or in hiding. So that's the central question there. And a source of the familiar with the development says that he's along with others that were accused of extortion and instituting foreclosure without their supervisor's consent. Also says to prevent him from having access to sensitive documents that could be needed for investigation that the professional ethics department may need. He was suspended and subjected to investigation. So that's a source according to developments there. So that's the quick question. Is he missing or in hiding? All down the front page of the front page in Liberia. Also, Simeon Taylor's victory upheld in court. You can find out more on that in the Supreme Court ruling in the country, Liberia.
All right, now away from the papers, let's bring you a very, very top story that we have for you on the program today.
You're watching Breakfast Central. This is News Central with Olisa and Oluchi. Let's go to, take you straight to Zambia, where the polls are really ongoing as we speak today in the election in the Southern African country for the next president. We heard that 16 candidates are vying for the country's top job, making this the most heavily contested elections in the country's history.
Now, in the early hours of 6 a.m., President Edgar Lungu was at the polling booth to cast his own vote. Now, incumbent President Edgar Lungu says he's on a winning team as he kicks off the voting in Zambia's nationwide election after a tense campaign dominated by economic woes and the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. Let's watch this.
So we are winning. That's my rating, we are winning.
And your way
Otherwise, I wouldn't have been in the race if we're not winning. No, we're a winning team. My impression is that Zambians are ready to vote and they've turned up in numbers. I saw a number of queues as I was coming here. It's reminiscent of what happened in 2011 when people turned out en masse. And I hope that many more people will come and cast their votes. And may the best candidate win.
All right, and that was the President Edgar Lungu, who came out early to cast his own vote. Now, our correspondent, Lydia McKenna, who has been outside and back again, joins us live from Lusaka. Good morning, Lydia. How are Zambians handling the election from the different parts of the country?
Well, people are excited on this day. We see that they woke up as early as 3 a.m. to queue in to the polling station just to cast in their votes. So as I'm talking to you right now, people are still voting, and then only that they are not adhering to the COVID-19 restriction, but people have come in numbers, and the polling station opened at 6 a.m. today in all areas of the country.
Wow, Lydia, quite a stark, remarkable one with the pictures we're seeing out there in Zambia, especially with President Edgar Lungu. It's exactly just gone past 9 a.m. in Zambia, and you said people woke up at about 3 a.m. and voting started about 9 a.m. Now, Edgar Lungu clearly has led by example in casting his vote quite early in the video we just watched, and reiterating that about his confidence of them winning. Tell us what the mood is like over there now. Does it look like it might tilt towards Edgar Lungu, or because the opposition really strong here?
The opposition are really very strong, as I'm talking to the UPND, so to say, not like the other opposition, because there are 16 candidates But we see that UPND and the Patriotic Front are the ones that are leading as at the moment. But we know we cannot predict what will come in before the Electoral Commission of Zambia have a final say on the results. But we see that the opposition are coming in number.
All right, so we still have our correspondent live from Zambia. She's still with us, Lydia Makina, giving us the updates about the mood in the country, Zambia. It just got past 9 a.m. in the country for our viewers in West Africa and different parts of Africa who are following the proceedings. So Edgar Lungu, as we saw, came out quite early to cast his vote, and he said that they're quite confident of winning.
Right, and we're quite hopeful that the election will go peaceful. I mean, it's too early for us to predict how to go, because just as Lydia said, the polling units opened by 6 a.m. and currently it's just 3 hours after the polling unit has been opened. So we have a lot of people who are coming out to cast their vote. But let's not also forget the opposition party, the major opposition party, which is the Ichilema party, also try their best to also do a lot of rallying. I remember Copperbelt was one of the regions that was quite heated up, because that was also a major region that Edgar Lungu was also trying to get, using his manifestos and using the campaign. Now, the day President Edgar Lungu went to Copperbelt to campaign was also the day that Hichilema was there for his own campaign. According to reports, we gathered that the president stopped Hichilema from also making his campaign at Copperbelt. I mean, he had to do his own campaign first. And the market was an uproar to see the president come out to do campaign, despite warnings from the government to ensure that COVID-19 protocols were followed.
Okay, we're still looking to have back our correspondent, Lydia Makina, but there you have it, images on your screen from early hours this morning out there in Zambia, Lusaka. President Edgar Lungu, the incumbent, still vying to get a vote. All right, but there will be lots to come to follow on this story, as Zambia is still at the post polling units right here on News Central. We'll give you the updates.
All right, right here, more top stories coming right up on the program. Right now from Zambia, we're moving to Algeria with news that wildfires tearing through northern Algeria have now killed at least 65 people, including 28 soldiers deployed to help the firefighters. Now, the blazes in the mountainous Kabylie region are some of the worst in the country's history, and officials have blamed arson for many of them.
Now, a total of 69 fires were burning yesterday, and these are images that we can bring you from that scenario. There have been talks about wildfire, especially with the extreme heat in many parts of not just North Africa, but also in Europe, with the issues in Greece, Australia, and indeed California in North America. Now, the heat wave sweeping across North Africa, this time with the flames fanned by strong winds and tinder dry conditions. Meanwhile, the president, Abdelmajid Tebboune, has declared 3 days of national mourning for the victims. So it's all about the climate change, Oluchi, which clearly people have been talking about throughout this week. We thought perhaps it's just a Greek, foreign Mediterranean European thing, but this is Africa, this is Algeria.
Right, and looking at climate change and looking at how human factor plays a very significant role in climate change, it makes us begin to wonder that what can we do to prevent disasters like this from happening. Now, when wildfires like this happen, we do understand that properties and lives are also lost. Now, what can the government do to recoup from this is one major question that a lot of people are looking for answers to.
All right, so there you have it. At least 65 people killed in deadly wildfires in Algeria. More to follow on that story right here on News Central.
شوف لابارتمون شوف لا دال الصوت تا كوزيت لا دوش تا خامي كلشي طالق هكذا خويا
لقاش البقر الغنم الحمير حاشاكم كلشي مات والله ما خدا كلشي مات ابن عم كلشي راح
All right, so really sad images there, the destruction left by the wildfires are sweeping across that part of Algeria.
Right, and it is a sad one. I mean, we saw the buildings, we saw the men there explaining how the fire came in and set in, how it destroyed the buildings and properties. And some of them are trying their best to see what they can get out, the remains that they can get from the different buildings, the different homes. This is a sad one right now for Algeria. Quite unfortunate, I must say.
Yeah, well, 28 soldiers deployed to help the firefighters after 65 people reported killed. The blaze in the mountainous Kabylie region of the country. That's when it all started, and some of the worst in the country's history. And officials have blamed arson for many of them. So here's all about strong winds accompanied by tinder dry conditions. But you might not also want to rule out the human factor, but many people throughout this week, especially when the news media have been following the issues, because as of Monday, the United Nations and the Global Climate Change authorities released a really damning report about where we are heading to with climate change. And this time, we talked about wildfires on Monday in Greece, on Tuesday in California, in Turkey, and now Wednesday morning, going into Thursday, going to Algeria. All right, more top stories right here on Breakfast Central. Straight to go. Yes, it's all about the United Nations Refugee Agency. Now, the Ethiopian Agency for Refugee and Returnee Affairs in the country and the non-governmental organization that's the WISE are registering Eritrean refugees in Addis Ababa who fled from the now destroyed Hitsat and Shemelba camps in Tigray.
Now, the refugees are issued ID cards to regularize their stay in the Ethiopian capital and are also supported to open a bank account on site in which UNHCR will be providing one-off cash assistance to cover their immediate needs.
We are doing the issuance of identification documentation. So mainly we are providing IDs, individual IDs. So this will we plan this for two main reasons. The first one is for them to be legalized in Addis Ababa because previously they don't have documentation in Addis. The second one is UNHCR and ARA are planning to provide temporary assistance, cash assistance. So for that, we are providing the money through bank system. So for those to open a bank account, they also need ID cards.
All right, so that's the situation in Ethiopia. Eritrean refugees given, you have to say, stay in the country after all that crisis in the Tigray region, which is really escalating in the last couple of days. Now, let's take you to South Africa now. The big story there is all about President Cyril Ramaphosa, and is expected to take this stand for a second day, and that's today. He is testifying at the Country Judicial Commission of Inquiry into the allegations of state capture, corruption and fraud in the public sector in its state. Now,
it is the second time that the head of state appears before the commission after being criticized for giving vague answers during his first appearance. Now, during his evidence, Ramaphosa said putting an end to state capture would allow the state to focus its efforts and resources on better public services.
Well, joining us this morning is journalist and editor Candice Bailey, a regular on Breakfast Central. Candice, good morning. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. There were some really explosive moments in the testimony yesterday. Can you give us some of the highlights briefly of that appearance by Ramaphosa?
Morning, Breakfast Central team. Indeed, it was quite a heavy day yesterday, and I think there were two very important admissions that came out of the president's testimony yesterday. The first was really in his direct testimony, him saying that really distancing himself from what happened, the state capture that happened in his tenure as deputy president between 2014 and 2018, and really saying that he actually had no knowledge of what happened in that time. He had no knowledge of the hiring and firing that took place at the time, and that he heard about the state capture through the media. He also gave some explosive testimony saying that, at one point he had threatened to resign when a specific finance minister had been appointed very irregularly over a weekend. He had threatened to resign, and that was something that we didn't know. I think, however, another element to the testimony, and that's really the indirect conclusions that can be drawn, not from his testimony, but what we can pull from it, is that is how the ANC actually has influenced the process of the hiring and firing of ministers in government. And obviously that should be a process that's completely away from the ANC. But we now understand that the ANC has got very heavy hand in deciding which ministers do get appointed.
Wow. Right now, so Candice, what has been the general sentiment from South African public to Ramaphosa's testimony?
I think there are two sides to it. On the one side, I think people are happy that he was there. And, in his testimony yesterday, he said that he had various options. He sketched various options that he had. But one of the main options he said he had was really to stay in office and to resist state capture so that, the forces that were involved in state capture didn't overrun the entire government. And that's why he stayed and tried to fight it from inside. And I think that there's a sentiment among some people that it was a good move and that we needed, the country needed somebody like Ramaphosa to make sure that it doesn't degenerate any further. On the other hand, I think there's also a sentiment among people that actually he wasn't really answering the question. He was trying to dissolve himself of any wrongdoing, and that actually he's part and parcel of the African National Congress and the decisions that are made.
Well, Candice, it is quite bizarre because talking about the reaction, I was looking at the front page this morning, even on the breakfast of South Africa, and the Sowetan paper, where it was a big slap. And when the editorial says he came, he saw and did nothing. Candice, beyond the public and what this reaction of some South Africans, what are other political parties saying about this? And I look at that front page spread. It pretty much says it all, doesn't it?
Pretty much says it all, indeed. I mean, so officially, the official opposition, the Democratic Alliance, has sent out a statement yesterday following the first day of testimony, saying that they really feel vindicated by what happened at the commission yesterday. One of the things that really emerged was, as I said to you, the way the ANC was involved in what they call cadre deployment, and really ensuring that their cadres get significant positions within the government. And what the DA says is that that they feel completely vindicated by this. They've been on a campaign to expose this. And in fact, their statement says that they now are considering taking further legal action to make sure that minutes from the ANC's deployment committee come to the fore. What happened yesterday is that President Cyril Ramaphosa said that he didn't have minutes from the time that he was the chairperson of the committee, which was I think it was 2011 to 2017. He said he didn't have the minutes of those meetings because there were just too many meetings. But they are now going to go to court to try and force the hand of the ANC to get those minutes. So quite a lot happening in terms of them trying to expose the ANC further, but also the ANC showing itself through its minutes that were now subpoenaed to the State Capture Commission.
Right. Now, Candice, just before we let you go, because we know this is a story that is going to trend all through today in South Africa and beyond, what is the president expected to discuss in his testimony today?
So today, the president, yesterday, the president spoke in his capacity as deputy president, and today he really speaks as president of the country. The testimony is continuing based, and the cross-examination and will obviously continue based on yesterday. We started getting into the parastatals of our country, our Transnet, our rail parastatals, and our energy parastatals. So I think that testimony will continue today. But I think that the president will also provide some insight into his measures as president, how he handled state capture and the legacy and how the legacy that left him when he then took over the reins as president and how he had to handle that. Obviously, there will be some cross-examination. As I said, the State Capture Commission does have the minutes of the ANC's deployment committee, and he may be forced to answer some more questions on the deployment committee and how he handled those recommendations from that committee while he was president of the country. So surely a lot more is going to come out of the State Capture Commission today.
All right, let's hope that when he comes, he says something and does nothing. All right, thank you very much, Candice Whaley, all the way from South Africa, giving us the latest on Ramaphosa's appearance at the Zondo Commission. Thank you, Candice, once again.
Thanks, Breakfast Central.
All right, we're taking you back to Zambia. We can bring you those images from early this morning in the country as the polls continue with Zambians heading to the polls, and even the president himself, Edgar Lungu, casting his vote. Well, we still have our correspondent in Lusaka. Yes, Lydia Makina. Lydia, morning to you. We were talking about the mood and the elections and the polls as Zambians continue to queue since very early this morning in the country.
Yes, sorry about our network is kind of slow today, as usual, African. So the people started, people went to the polling station as early as 3 a.m. today, even when the polling station opened at 6 p.m. So just so that to start, some of them, they went there, from the observation. Some people even, we don't know even how they got drunk in the morning, but some were even drunk as early as 3 a.m. just so they started speaking anger off. And we also saw that even in rural areas, from the reports that our other colleagues are giving us, that the polling station opened at 6 a.m. So to say that in Zambia here, I can confirm to say that all the polling stations open at 6 a.m. From the report of the Electoral Commission of Zambia, as they had said that polling stations should open at 6 a.m. And that people started going as early as 3 a.m. And we saw that His Excellency Dr. Edgar Changwalungu was the first person to cast in his vote. We also saw that the Vice President, Inonge Mutukwa Wina, also went and cast in his vote. From other opposition leaders, some of them they are starting going now and to cast in their vote. But so far, the two presidents, His Excellency Dr. Edgar Changwalungu and his wife, together with the Vice President, have already casted their votes. And from the mayoral party, with the members of parliament, those that are standing as the MP, they have also started going to cast in their vote. So people are really in number. They are so excited on this about this particular day. And we see that only that the adherence of COVID-19 is not being followed. But I think it's just a matter of them being excited that today they need to practice their right of vote.
All right, thank you very much, our correspondent in Zambia, Lusaka, the capital, Lydia Makina, for giving us the latest with the voting. Looks like it's free and fair. We'll come back to you in our subsequent news bulletins for the latest of the ongoing votes in Zambia. Thank you very much, Lydia, once again.
Thank you.
Right, before we bring you our next stories, what to expect next on the program, let's have a recap of the top stories so far so good on Breakfast Central today.
And we talked about President Edgar Lungu, as he says he's confident of winning in Zambia.
And South Africa, he's to appear yet again, Ramaphosa, the president at the Zondo Commission.
And we also went to Algeria, where 65 people have been killed, including 28 soldiers. welcome back to Breakfast Central. It is the TIT edition. That's saying that it's Thursday. Now remember to follow us on all social media platforms. We are at News Central TV on Facebook, on Instagram, and our website is www.newscentral.tv.
All right, you can also watch us on platforms rolling out on your screen. Star Times 274, Avo TV, Channel 23, Freeview, Vision TV 247, and of course on YouTube. But let's go straight to some business this time. A report in Nigeria, the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji-Fashola, says that the federal government is set to introduce toll collections, yes, on some selected areas and highways around the country.
Now, the government also said that diplomatic vehicles, tricycles, motorcycles, military and paramilitary vehicles will be exempted from paying tolls. Now, this is coming 18 years after the administration of President Olusegun Obasanjo dismantled all toll plazas on all federal roads across the country in the year 2003.
Now, we are joined by our business desk editor, Nasser Agbalaya. Nas, morning to you. Welcome back to Breakfast. What does this really mean business-wise from the federal government and tolling yet again?
Good morning, guys.
Morning, Nas.
Really, this is a wonderful news in a way, because we do know that Nigeria as a state is currently battling with revenue challenges. So it has been looking inwards in how to increase our revenue base. So primarily, this will be used in paying back some of the loans which Nigeria has taken over the years. We do know that the Debt Management Office has said repeatedly that Nigeria has not borrowed too much, but it's still a factor that paying back these loans at a high rate. And with the money Nigeria can earn from tolling these roads, well, she will be able to pay them back. It won't put too much pressure on other revenue sources like the oil, for instance. It's a wonderful development, but it's quite interesting that the Minister of Works mentioned that they had consulted wide and far, including labor unions involved in road transport before they arrived at this decision. And also, the amount which will be charged is quite interesting. For instance, conventional cars will be charged at 200 naira. SUVs and trucks will be charged at 300 naira. Now, commercial buses will be charged 150 naira. That's quite interesting.
Right. Now, Nas, I mean, looking at the polling booth, I know I used to pass by them when I was a younger child. And even the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, when he cancelled or he told all polling booths, polling plazas to be cancelled, he came and gave his reasons as they had actually outlived its usefulness. Now, let's also not forget that he came out and stated the amount of money that these polling plazas were making on a daily basis, 63 million naira was what was being made on a daily basis. Do you think the polls or the tolls or the tolling unit is really important, bearing in mind that it has been out of place for the past 17 years at least?
Well, let us remember one fundamental thing. Nigeria then and Nigeria now are very, very different. Now, then, Nigeria had earned enough money to be able to pay off a good number of our loans. So, yes, Nigeria was viable then. And right now, Nigeria is in a world, in a pandemic era, and revenue has been dwindling. Let's be realistic. So it is quite different. Now, Nigeria is not earning as much as it was earning before. So Nigeria as a nation needs to look inwards, like I said earlier. So this is one of those metrics to pay off our debts. And don't forget that many infrastructure in the country has not been what it should be. And there are many projects still ongoing also. These need to be funded. This is one avenue of actually doing that.
All right, now, so it's all about revenue generation for the federal government. So Fashola is clearly behind this, so champion it. So which means we'll get to see tolls back on the interstate passageways, doesn't it? In the next couple of weeks or years or months?
So could you repeat that question? I can barely hear you.
Yeah, so basically this is all about revenue generation for the federal government, with Fashola, as we know, the Minister of Works and Housing, clearly behind it. So this means that we'll get to see toll gates now that had been destroyed before, erected once again, and tolling will start. But how soon then?
Well, the exact timeline for bringing the toll was not mentioned, but it's an interesting part. Now, the federal government has 35,000 kilometers of road, but barely 5,000 kilometers of road will be tolled, and those basically are dual carriage roads. Now, all those single roads that really are the main one that link states to states would not be tolled. But the main roads like the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, those will be tolled because those are dual carriage roads. And I was linking from Lagos to Ibadan and further inland. Dual carriage roads particularly was hammered. That is why only 5,000 kilometers, so 5,500 kilometers of road will be tolled. It's quite interesting that it's not more than what you even have in many states. Really, if states want to toll this line also, they will have more revenue coming their way. But I'm not saying that they should.
Right, Nas. I mean, this brings so many questions for me in terms of revenue generation. Now, let's not forget that the polling booths we're used to is a manual system of polling booths where you have a human face receiving this money, collecting these funds, and that can pose a big security issue in terms of the amount of money that is being generated. Imagine having such amount of cash physically. What do you think? Well, how will the government automate this process, if at all you're looking in that direction?
This is a wonderful question. And also, the government really are towing this line. Now, they said that this new system will not be done manually, it will be done automatically. That means everybody will pay virtually. Now, how they will implement it is that we don't know yet. But if they can do it, we do know that the Lekki toll gate, people pay electronically. So you don't need to wait in queue. As you come in, there's a sticker on your car that the camera just reads it and you pass and the gate's open. It would be great if the government can do this. One, it would not waste people's time queuing for long, and also it will ensure that the revenue goes directly into the government pocket, not into the coffers of private individuals. So if they can execute it properly, wonderful.
All right, planning, execution, tolling, and let's see how it goes. Thank you very much, Nas Agbalaya, our business desk editor. Right, still Breakfast Central on News Central, still to come on the program. All about Chelsea. They've won the UEFA Super Cup again, and the goalkeeper is the hero, Kepa Arrizabalaga. We'll tell you all about it on the program, right here on Breakfast Central. You're also watching Breakfast Central. It's a Thursday, 12th day of August 2021. Now, let's talk about abbreviations. Oftentimes, they are the escape route, if you may, from the unfamiliar words that people like me try to use and escape. But how many of us really take time to look up the meaning of some of the abbreviations we use on a daily? Take a look at this.
SMS. Send message soon. Yeah, I'm not the only one. I do not know acronyms, so Wi-Fi with immediate fast internet. Of course. Why? I meant to say that. Okay, sharp. Masienzin. CCTV. Camera catching television video, televideo. Yeah? Yeah? Hi guys, I'm not the only one who didn't know. URL. User. Realness lies. At the end of the day, I'm not the only one. ASAP, as soon as possible. Okay. Oh, as soon as possible. I'm waiting for the right answer. Let's not embarrass ourselves. Let's go. RSVP, reserve, flipping hell. I always write it, but not the what the hell? What language? GPS. All I know, it sends directions. Gather, personal system, global.
Okay, well, there you have it for some of the abbreviations that we've been learning, because I clearly failed like at least 7 of those takes. URL,
GPS, SMS.
Only ASAP I got.
I mean, SMS.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's GSM? Let me put you on the spot. GSM.
What
I mean, we all have that. I mean, GSM.
Come on, you're putting me on the
5,
spot.
4, 3, 2.
I'll pass. I
Okay,
failed it. Oh, what
all
is it?
I think we should ask them out.
All right. Well, some of the news stories happening that have a way of really getting the buzz. And Amal is here to give us what's the latest when it comes to trending. Amal Kansime, good morning to you. I hope your abbreviations are in order. Like me. But what's going on the trend waves?
Good morning. Now, starting off with the trend wave, it's not a very nice story. Sadly, you know, it's been like a cuffing season. People getting engaged, people getting married. I didn't know that people were also, honestly, trying to break up. And we have, you know, the couple from Ultimate Love, Teresa and Ike, if I get that right, sadly ended, called it quits, called off their engagement yesterday. They broke out the news on Instagram, stating that they had decided to end their engagement and they asked for respect during this time while they tried to move forward in their lives. And, you know, we had them here just a few weeks ago. We actually have a video. Let's just watch the video.
The newest way to finding love. Now, one may ask, can love, true love, be found on a reality TV show? Your guess is as good as mine. Well, my guests today seem to have answered that question to an extent. Please, let's welcome Ike Nama and Teresa Ugoji, popularly known as Ike Razor, in the studio this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, welcome to you. You guys look so stunning.
Thank you.
So much. Okay, so I have a question for you both. I mean, at what point did you guys decide to go on national TV to find true love? On the show, when did you think that he was the one for you? And when did you think that she was the one for you? Let me start with you, Teresa.
Okay, for the first question, I just finished my housemanship and then I felt it was time for me to be in a serious relationship.
Now, the fans of this show are actually very sad to see them. I'm actually personally, also me, very sad because I was planning to go for a love show, you know, meet someone. But let's just look at some of the comments from what the fans have had to say. So this is what they put out. They said, I'm sorry to all Ike Razor lovers and believers, but we have decided to go our separate ways, which we believe is best for us. We hope you respect our decision as we forge ahead with our lives and careers. And the fans had a lot to say. We have It's Chubby3 who says, oh my God, I hope this is a prank. We also have, more comments coming up. We have Sanchi Oyes who says, please, the show should be cancelled. What sort of thing is this? It should be called Makeup to Break Up. Wow.
All right, Amal, if there's anyone who clearly should be having a go, this one is Oluchi. We had them a couple of weeks ago on this program. Oluchi, you sat down with them.
Yes, I did. I mean, and we're talking about finding love on a reality show. I mean, is it even possible? And they were there giving us examples. I mean, as couples goals, telling us how it happened, and even the engagement, how it all went. At some point, I asked for a date. I mean, are we looking forward to a date? And, he just said, let's just take it nice and slow. They also told us about how they've been able to manage pressure. So it comes with this next question. Was all of that a front? At that point in time, were they already having cracks in their relationship?
Yeah. That's why most people think that most people, including myself, we're all hoping that this is a prank. Because things were good just a few days ago. We saw them, we've been seeing them on Instagram. And the comment, the post that they put up about the breakup that Teresa put out has now been deleted. So it almost, it brings questions like, is this a prank? Are you back together? Why was the post deleted? I can only hope because I
hope it's a prank.
I'm also, next year, I want to also go and...
Amal, as they say, time flies really fast and a lot of things happen. I know they were sat right here on this couch with Oluchi to give that interview, but if they've come out to say they're splitting and the end of the engagement, well, we'll see how it goes in the coming days. What's up next, right, on the trend waves, Amal?
Yes, now, this is actually some good news. It looks like the Twitter ban in Nigeria is about to be lifted, just might be lifted.
Really?
Twitter was banned in early June because of the fact that Twitter deleted the president's comments on the southeastern part of Nigeria. Now, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said, and I quote, the end for amicable resolution is very much in sight. He also said they've made their demands clear to Twitter and that Twitter seems flexible, and people had a lot to say about this. So let's just look at the comments. We have Bishizo who says, as it should be, Twitter has been spoken to in the language they understand. You can't allow your platform to be used to spread anarchy and division in a foreign country. If you mess with Boo-Boo, you'll get the horns.
All right.
We have more comments. We have Zen Mag saying, sad really. We have more pressing problems in our country, and it's Twitter, a free social network, that is the problem, because it is Twitter that brought COVID to Nigeria. So I mean, I don't know how effective this has been for the government. I don't know how effective it has been, because most people didn't know there was a ban. But I just can't wait to be back on Twitter, to be honest. I don't know what you guys think.
I'm desperate to get on Twitter. Remove the VPNs and let me tweet like Mohammed.
I'm so looking forward to it.
Please. Thank you very much, Amal, for the latest.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Up next, sports. All right, in the world of sports, well, clearly we can start with Chelsea. They won their Super Cup last night after a 1-1 draw in normal time. They went into extra time and penalty shootout. 6-5 it finished between those two sides. Their hero was Kepa Arrizabalaga. After this man scored the first goal, Hakim Ziyech, the Moroccan, he went off injured with an injured shoulder, which was a disappointing one for Thomas Tuchel, the manager. The likes of Moreno then equalized for the Villarreal side. The rest of the they called them, and it was 1-1. They huffed and puffed and went into penalty shootouts, and Chelsea won it. Why? Because the coach made a substitution. Yes, Edouard Mendy goes out for Arrizabalaga. Kepa, who comes in and then saves 2 penalties in the shootout, and Chelsea get to win it. And there you have it there. The man from the hero from the bench, Arrizabalaga, 7 penalties. Chelsea get to win yet another Super Cup. Impressive for him. So there you have it on the world of sports. And Oluchi, we saw Messi yesterday. Well, he was finally a PSG player.
Right, I did, and I saw him with a shirt and his family, and it was a lot of warm smiles, and the environment was so welcome. It was a good one.
All right, so there you have it when it comes to sports, and indeed there are quite a lot right here on Breakfast Central. Don't forget to follow us at the top of the hour. We've got news. I will be following all the latest when it comes to the Zambian elections. But later today on News Central.
And we have 11 a.m. West African time Business Edge with Tolokpe Adeleru Balogun.
Beyond the Continent at 1 p.m. West African time.
And at 5 p.m. West African time, we have Below the Skyline.
All right, so that's it from us on Breakfast Central. But don't forget to stay tuned. We have more coming in from Zambia as they still stay at the polls.
Now, on behalf of myself, Olisa and Chukuma, and Olisa Chukuma, it's Olisa, yes. And Oluchi and the production crew, we're wishing you a very lovely day. We'll see you tomorrow, 8 a.m. West African time.
Bye-bye.
Adama.
So we are winning. That's my rating, we are winning.
And your weight,
otherwise I wouldn't have been in the race if we're not winning. No, we're a winning team. My impression is that Zambians are ready to vote and they've turned up in numbers. I saw a number of queues as I was coming here. It's reminiscent of what happened in 2011 when people turned out en masse. And I hope that many more people will come and cast their votes. And the best candidate win.